everyone, and welcome to What is Your Gift? This podcast interview. And today we are going to interview Laurina Kersten. Laurina is an incredible person and she is a friend. And actually we met, I don't know, when did we meet? Probably 2-3 years ago now. So when you came back to New Zealand, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When was that?
We first met when I was living in Clyde and I came to one of your amazing bodywork sessions, which was highly recommended to me. So that was back in 20 or 21.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, 2-3 years ago. Yeah. Wow. And so I went to a few of your amazing 3 hours Body Bliss mini retreat that you're doing. So I went to Alexandra, but I know you're doing in Wanaka, in Queenstown, Dunedin, Alex, but you're also doing quite a few in Australia when you're going back. And now you're doing like a tour. I've seen that you've got quite a few different dates align, isn't it?
Yeah, happening in the North Island. So I will extend out into the North Island for the first time next month, which is super exciting. And I'm really looking forward to meeting the women there and nourishing them and seeing what unfolds for them.
Beautiful. Well, actually, if you can maybe tell us a little bit what is Body Bliss, and then maybe after I can explain, how I felt, because I went 2 or 3 times and I also booked for the next one in Alex because I love it and it's so good to have 3 hours just for yourself. But maybe speak a little bit to people so they know what it is.
Okay, so Body Bliss I created basically for myself. It was what I needed. It was what my body needed, my nervous system needed, my heart, my soul, my mind needed.
Yeah.
And what we do is we lie down for 3 hours and your nervous system gets completely reset. So in life, we tend to be quite busy. We can have a lot of stress, a lot of things going on. And it's 3 hours where you get to fully come into yourself, to fully relax into your body, calm your mind. We use restorative yoga. So you're lying around on pillows and shapes that are super comfortable. I play really soothing music. I read uplifting poetry. And so it's this whole experience of immersing yourself in this really lush, divine, sacred space where you're just with yourself. So there's no interacting or talking with others. This is women's time just for them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is the beauty of it. I remember like each time, and every session actually is very different. And I guess it's because we are stressed at different levels, or we are ready to release more, I guess. But it's quite fascinating because the 3 hours go like this. It's so fast. And we lie down in one position, and then suddenly you're just guiding us slowly to change and really follow our rhythm. And even if we don't want to change and stay in a position, we can. And it's just so soothing. And I really love the poems and the readings that you have. Is just, yeah, it's really magical. So yeah, I love it. But so when you're saying that you have created that for yourself, maybe tell us a little bit more about that. Why?
Yeah, great question. So I always saw myself as a very stressed person. I always pushed through and have done a lot in my life, and but I felt a lot of fear around things. And ever since I was a teenager, I've been a seeker. I have been to so many workshop classes, meditation retreats. I was always working on myself, and it's like something wasn't quite there. Something wasn't quite getting me to the point that I wanted to get to. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I felt nervous a lot of the time. I would have outbursts of anger. I had maladaptive coping mechanisms, so I would resort to alcohol. I had an eating disorder, and I was trying so many things to try and support myself, and it just wasn't quite getting there. And then when I started working with my nervous system and started slowing things down and giving my body time to unravel, then I began to notice big shifts. And it actually wasn't for many years. You know, hindsight is 2020, right? But in looking back, I realize now that I had anxiety for probably most of my life. I had
Right.
a background of trauma in childhood and a number of things that had happened along the way, as you know, most of us have these days. It's very rare to meet someone who hasn't had quite traumatic things happen in life. And trauma can be, you know, trauma with a little t or big T.
That's right.
But all of this impacts on your nervous system and then how you operate in the world. It impacts how you see the world and how you express yourself in the world, how comfortable you feel with yourself, and how much you're able to be fully expressed as a human out in this fabulous world that we have to play in. And so I developed these sessions because they were what I needed. And so I have infused everything into them that I know my body, my nervous system, all the things I was going through at the time really, really needed.
Oh, wow, beautiful. So basically, by going through all that yourself and gaining all this knowledge, so that led you to your gift or your passion. Maybe
Yeah.
if you want to talk a little bit about your passion, what you're doing now
Ah.
to those beautiful women.
So my passion, just going back a little bit, you know, I when I realized how uncomfortable I was in the world and how stressed I was, it really opened my eyes to the stress that a lot of women were feeling. I began to see that the way the world was set up, the way our systems are set up, the way that women are expected to operate in the world, that it wasn't geared up for our bodies, for our nervous system. And when I saw that, I also realized that that part of me that hadn't been fully expressed, that in other women, they were not being able to be fully expressed. So
Ah,
what, yeah, and I felt sad about that. Like all humans have so much to offer. And when stress is there, when anxiety is there, it's like it layers in on top of who we really are. And
yeah,
so we're not able to be fully out into the world with the fullest, most beautiful expression of ourselves.
so true.
And so, yeah, so I was just really sad, and I began to get really passionate about helping women
Yeah.
to let go of these layers so that they could be authentically themselves in the world. And so, in starting at that place, obviously, this was over a decade ago now that I first began this work, and things have moved on since then. I am still offering Body Bliss sessions, which I started over a decade ago. I've now worked with thousands of women in various countries. But yes, so my work is much deeper now. I'm very passionate about the nervous system, and I'm very passionate about working with women in a really deep way beyond just 3 hours in order
Yes.
to fully align with who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's like an introduction, the 3 hours to realize that, wow, actually, I feel so much calmer now that, yeah, maybe I need to work a bit deeper with myself because, there is something that is unbalanced. Yeah.
That is so true. I think it gives women a taste of what it is actually like to have a calm nervous system and just to feel okay. And
That's right.
that, I really want to inspire women to know that that is possible on a more regular basis.
And it should be natural. It should be easy.
Yeah, yeah,
I know, right?
yeah.
Oh, yes, exactly that. And then, so what you're doing beyond this introduction. So you're following those women that that want to feel and empowered and feel true to them, to themselves. How do you follow them? What do you do?
What do I do? So women who are interested in going deeper in this work with the nervous system get an opportunity to have a chat with me. I offer a call where people get to know me a little bit and I get to know them. And then if we feel like we're a good fit, I have a program where I work much deeper and way beyond. It's not, way beyond what we do in this session. It's not so much yoga poses. It's really working deeply in the nervous system and really deeply to find and be comfortable expressing their authentic selves.
Wow.
And just getting rid of those layers that are all on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's the key when there are programs, because you have this space for those people that you can follow in between session. If they have questions, I'm sure that they can reach out. And I know that there is a group also that's where people know each other and support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And group is such a powerful space. We are better in community. As humans, we are not good in isolation. And of course, lots of work is done in isolation, but coming together as a community. And I think the big thing is realizing you're not alone.
Yes.
You're not the only one. You're not crazy. Nothing's wrong with you. And all of the insecurities and fears and difficulties that you go through, other humans go through. And we don't often talk about it. Or we don't often, it's not that we dive into all of the nitty gritty stuff within the group, but we hold space for each other and we see each other in some of the unfoldings of life and realize that actually I'm normal.
Yeah. And I guess also it builds a bit more of trust, especially between women. That I speak for myself individually, like personally. It took me a long time to trust again women. For some reason, I was scared. I was more comfortable with men because they tend to be more like, abrupt, like straight to the point. And working with women and being in group actually really rebuild this trust that for some reason we've lost along the track. I'm not sure why.
That's such an insightful point. Yeah, you're so right. And I can relate. So certainly in my younger years, all my friends were male. I found women very uncomfortable to be around. Yeah, I didn't get them. Yeah, you're right. Men were just direct, straight to the point. You always knew where they stood. It just felt easier. And women were scarier. Yes. And I hear it from women all the time in my program. That's one of the big healings that take place. Like they actually trust women and feel
goosebumps.
Feel in community, right? And it's that part of it, what's being highlighted here is those fears that we have and those insecurities we have, so many others have. And unless we are actually just like, hey, this is my truth, this is how I feel, and if someone's there holding space for that, it's like shifts can happen so quickly.
That's right, because you feel safe and you feel nurtured and like in a giant nest, and they're beyond judgment, like everyone has its place, and it is magical. That's true. It took me a long time to realize how group session are so much more powerful, as you say. It's because it not only helps the individual, but it helps the collective, and then the collective helps the individual. It's like, this perfect intertwined energy is pretty cool.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Nice. So maybe if we go back a little bit in time, before you started this incredible journey, and when you really, I guess, went within and started to unravel this beautiful gift of yours, how was your life? So you told us a little bit, but maybe, you can tell any way you want, but the idea is to see what is the difference between before, how you were feeling, and when you started to stepping into your gift, what was the difference you felt within? So you can go any direction you want with that.
The difference within, it was this sense of, so before I started doing the work that I was doing, I mean, I was always passionate about things, and we are, right? We're always into things and doing things. But it was a sense of being a little bit lost, a little bit drifting, nothing sitting quite right, not quite there, or things not being cohesive. It didn't, and I guess that inner feeling was not feeling quite whole. I felt like I was just dabbling in things and trying things, maybe felt a little bit naive, didn't feel like I'd come into the fullness of myself and the fullness of me as a creative, powerful being in the world. And yeah, there was discomfort. There was just discomfort. And I think that's part of the journey, right? Like being in that awkward, it's almost like that awkward teenagey stage. Yeah. And just being in that for a very long period of time.
Yeah. And how were you coping? Oh, sorry, go for it. Yeah.
No, you go.
What the question, to go maybe a bit more in details, and how were you coping when you were confronted to some problems or issues in life compared to now? How were you feeling back then when you were like, stuck in front of a big problem?
So I had the main two ways were to be like just push through. Like I had so many fears in my life, and I faced many of them, and it was like hanging on for dear life and just going through and like, oh. And then the other way would be to completely dissociate. And that dissociation would happen very physically for me, and it was a coping mechanism based on childhood trauma and what had developed as a way to cope back then. And I still use that as an adult. So I would literally, when I was confronted by things, just shut down, get to the point where sometimes I couldn't even speak. I couldn't even feel anything. I wouldn't black out. That's not the feeling, but almost like I was cocooned within myself, and I couldn't get out of that space. And so that's where a lot of, the drinking would happen. So I had bulimia for many years, so I'd have that binging and purging. Those were the main coping mechanisms: push through or pop out.
Yeah. And wait, it goes away, hopefully.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that, because it's quite personal, but I believe a lot of us can resonate on that. I definitely can for the alcohol too. I was so shy that I was a complete different funny person. But it has a destructive side too. So like any addiction, I guess. But wow. And so when you started to to do more work, even though you've done that all through your life, when you really started to tackle into your inner gift, how are you coping now? What is the difference, the main difference that you're feeling when you have issues or in life?
I am more resourced within myself now. I have more trust in myself, and just, more life experience to know that this too shall pass when something is happening. And I really, when things are going on, I come back to like, I've got this, I know I've got this. I increase, some people would call it self-care. I call it just basic necessity of life, like in order to function in the world. I have a toolkit of things
Yeah.
that I do on a daily basis, and in those moments where life gets really hard, I do them more.
Mm.
And so I've learnt in a lot of
Yeah.
ways to
Yeah.
be selfish, some people might call it.
Yeah.
Once again, I would just call it basic necessity of getting through life, to really focus in on myself and do the things that I need to do in order to move through any life experience to the best of my ability and in a positive way. And I think in doing that, you just know over time that all these struggles and difficulties actually have so many gifts, so many nuggets within them, that now when a difficult thing comes up, I'm like, oh, what are going to be the gems here? It's shit. But then there's also part of me that's excited, like, oh, I'm going to grow so much from this. I'm
That's
going to learn
right.
so much.
Yeah. That's right. Maybe you want to share or not. I don't know. Listen, I know they had a big struggle like not long ago. If you want to share that one.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So recently, something happened to my Facebook group, my Facebook profile, sorry. It was hacked, and Facebook then banned me very quickly. And for those who don't run a business through Facebook, it can be difficult to really understand the gravity of what I went through 2 months ago. But essentially, instantly, I lost maybe 80 to 90% of business. And,
Which
with the
was
big,
like 10 years back, like of work, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. So I have been building this business and my body of work for 10 years now. It was huge. It was huge. And there was nothing I could do about it. Facebook, if you don't have a profile, you're actually not able to contact them. I wasn't able to access my business page. It was just a whole thing. And it was terrifying, and I could feel it in my body. And I'm very good now of feeling my body and knowing where it's at. And I could feel my nervous system ramping up. I'm like, okay, I need a lot of self care here. And then also sitting in this space of like, okay, if this thing is gone, what is the potential here? What
Wow.
is possible within this space? If this part of my business is gone, maybe something else is going to open up for me. Maybe something else is going to present. So really, to the best of my ability, sitting in this space of what are the gems going to be in this situation where literally next week I don't know if I can pay my rent or buy food. Yeah.
To trust. Wow. Wow. That is such an incredible lesson. And as you say, it's beautiful because straight away you embrace the feeling, yet you knew that, okay, there is a potential there. And that is the key. That is the key.
Mm.
I don't know, maybe you have other words, but um, that's the thing for me, the difference, the before in my life, like I was seeing always the glass half empty, always the problem. And when you start to step into the unknown, into your journey, and be okay to accept every part, even the darkest part of within, and say, well, okay, they're part of me, but it's not forever. And when we start to do that, we finally start to see the potential in everything, that there is a solution. It's just that we cannot access to this solution yet with
Mm.
our mind, but it's there. And it's the shift that is magical.
It is so magical. Yes.
And by trusting, it nearly came back to normal, nearly.
Nearly. And I'm still, I guess I'm still working with the energy of it. So I got a large chunk of my business back. I managed to get access back to my business page after a month, and rebuilding my personal profile again and all those contacts. And it's been work.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of time and effort. And I'm still in the figuring out, things
Yeah.
aren't black and white and things aren't directly linear. And I don't know fully what's going to come out of it yet.
That's
I feel
right.
like there's something still brewing from this experience. Yeah.
Still in the unknown, but that's amazing because you're embracing it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. It's really good. So so there are two questions. What would you say in the first question to people that they don't know what kind of gift they have yet or what is their passion, but they feel that there is something else that they need to do. So what would be the advice you would give to those people that they are not sure yet? And the second question is the same, but if the person already know what they feel that, yeah, it's what I want to do, but I'm too scared, or yeah. So yeah, what would you answer on that one?
Yeah, so to the first question, where someone who's sitting in like they kind of want to do something but don't know quite what that is, oh gosh, follow the thread of your desires. So life leaves breadcrumbs. Yeah. And we know that they're breadcrumbs by our interest in things, by our, I don't know, it's like a feeling of like, oh, I think I want to go and learn that. I think I want to go and express here. I think I want to go to this class. I think I want to stand up and give a talk about blah, 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 this thing. And it's just sometimes we feel like we need to have the 10-year plan, the 5-year plan, have it all figured out to the end. And that's very rarely how life works, especially these days, right? With everything that has gone on in the last few years, like things can change so quickly. But if we're following that impulse within us, it will not lead you astray. And it's going to lead you to really amazing places. And I do find that a lot of women actually don't fully allow themselves to have desires, to have needs, to have wants, and to really give themselves permission just to explore. And those breadcrumbs that are left will lead you to magic places.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then to the second question for those who do have ideas and kind of know that they want to step out into the world with their gifts, but they're a little shy. Oh my goodness, you are not alone.
Yeah.
I know that there are people out there who are just like, yep, doing it, going for it. I haven't met them. And I'm certainly not one of them. Yeah, it's terrifying. It is terrifying. And one of the things that I know that I found for myself, and I see a lot in the entrepreneurial world, is that women in particular think that we don't know enough, that we don't have enough skill, we don't have enough knowledge. And so the desire to keep learning, to keep studying, to keep gathering more info, more resources, more modalities is really alluring because it can help us to feel like we're getting somewhere. And of course we are, right? But it also keeps us in a bit of a comfortable space that we're not actually stepping out into the world with our gifts. So I would say gather all those shaky feelings, of which I had lots. Imagine standing up in front of people when you have anxiety. That's the space I was in. But I was had so much conviction in the work that I was pulling together. And I felt so strongly that it was necessary for women in the world, that overrode the shaky feelings. So if you can find your why and your deep desire, then you take all of those shaky feelings and you step out into the world. Sometimes you fall flat on your face, things don't work out, you dust yourself off and you get back up and you try again. But yeah, I think it's important to know that it's not comfortable.
No.
We're not like, woohoo, I'm off to do this thing.
That's true. But it's funny because it's not comfortable during the process. But then when, with time, when we turn our head to the past, the mountain that we thought it was actually a little rock. It's quite impressive actually to see, oh wow, I've been able to do that. And I thought it was big, but actually it just went smoothly. And yeah, it's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just get them go into the uncomfort. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just so many women hold themselves back, and men too. I work with women, so I'm used to speaking from the space, that kind of space. But, the light that each of us have inside, the gifts that each of us have inside are so important for the world. So important. It's so important for ourselves to be fully expressed. And sometimes that's received really well, and sometimes, it's not. But to have that full self-expression is, it's just a gift for yourself. It really is. And then you just become more of who you are and shine more brightly. Yeah.
That's right, because we all have something. And it doesn't have to be in the spiritual world. It can be like in art. It can be in teaching. It can be in anything. And that's the thing. But yeah, when we step into this creative mode, as you say, we become, that's, who we are.
Yeah. So many women in my program end up changing jobs. Yeah. End up pulling away from things that they thought were actually really important when they realized they were just doing them for all the wrong reasons, and actually what their heart desires is this. It's amazing when you really allow yourself to go inside and like, what are my desires? What are my gifts? What makes me come alive in the world? And let's do that.
Yeah, beautiful. Do you, so without going into details, obviously for privacy reason, but do you have maybe an example of someone that had a huge change between before program and after your program, or that's too private?
No, a specific example.
Or something that really, that you remembered. It's like, oh, wow, it's incredible how this person has been able to, before, how stressed she was feeling, and now how she can embrace a new journey.
Yeah, every woman who goes through my program, we do an exit interview and we go over their journey and look at next steps so that they can still continue to evolve, because that's what we're all here for, right? And these exit interviews, I've just had a couple this week. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. So what women are saying to me is, my life is completely different. My life has changed. And the beautiful thing is that they're not, and I love this, they're not attributing it to me. It's not like, oh, you've done this, I couldn't live without you, or now that the program's ended, I'm just going to be lost. They are in their power. They're like, I feel powerful. I feel like I know myself. I've never known myself before. I've never been able to feel my body before. I've never known what I wanted out of life. I've never been able to express my needs, my boundaries, my wants, my desires. Like, their lives are profoundly different. And because they are empowered within that space, they're taking that forward into the rest of their lives, which like
completely switch.
Completely switch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. Yes. And it's amazing to see every individual that we had a chance to follow, or even some of our, it doesn't even have to be from us, but when we hear someone that said, oh, I've been doing this work on myself, and I've used this technique, I use this tool, and now I can be who I really want to be. And it's so exciting and amazing to hear. And yeah, I believe it's how we're going to change, and change the society towards more the being together rather than being in competition with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We
Yeah,
don't do well as an island. We're here to support. We're here to grow together.
that's right.
We're here to share our gifts.
That's right. That's right. Because that helps so much. Like, yeah, well, actually, we can talk about that. I guess during your path to finding your gift, have you listened to some authors, podcasts, stories that inspired you to go forward that you want to share?
Oh my goodness, so many. You know, one that comes to mind, who I have followed since I read her book, is Glennon Doyle. And I
Oh,
recommend her to everyone. Oh, I've
Glenn.
lent the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have a look at that. Yeah.
So her most recent book, which she released a couple of years ago, is called Untamed.
Oh, that rings a bell. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's how much we close ourselves off, condition ourselves, and actually we need to unleash ourselves. So I recommend her book to everyone.
Yeah. Cool.
Most definitely.
Nice. Nice. And any other podcast or author that really, yeah, drove you like upwards, like
Oh my
forward?
gosh. So many.
So many.
So I'm really interested in the fascia at the moment, and I'm listening
Yeah.
to so many books, audio books about that, and doing so many practices. I can't remember the names. There's Hillsman. I can see the book over there. The Melt Method is one of them.
Okay.
Brené Brown has been a massive inspiration. If people haven't seen her recent television series, which is only available in some select places,
Yeah.
but it's on the emotions and
Mm.
learning our emotions because we are so stifled in them for the most part, and we don't have a full understanding of them. Generally, we feel or recognize about three within ourselves, and she just gives this beautiful, it's almost like training on how to
Oh,
know yourself better.
oh, I'm interested in that one too. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah. I put the link on the YouTube channel underneath for people to have a look and with the link to find the audiobook or the books.
Yeah,
Mm,
fabulous. Yeah.
nice, nice. And when you started your journey, do you have like a book or something that pop up in your mind, or it's just too far away?
When I started my journey, I'm trying to remember the book. I don't know if I'm going to remember. No, it's gone.
Mm, yeah, well, okay, thank you. Beautiful. And so tell us how we can find you.
So my website is just my name,
Yeah.
laurinakersten.com. My
Mhm.
name is spelt very differently than most people think. It's kind of like Laura, so Laurina, and Kirsten is Kersten.
Mhm.
And then I'm also on social media, so Facebook. Woohoo!
You're back.
And my business page is Laurina Kersten Nervous System Soother. And
Mhm.
people are also welcome to send me a friend request
Yeah,
to my personal profile as well.
perfect. Thank you. Beautiful. And is there anything else that we haven't talked about and that you feel that, yeah, I think we should add that, or a last word, last sentence, anything?
I just want to say thank you, Lily. Honestly, it has been a pleasure to have this conversation with you. I was so delighted with your request, and just feel really inspired by you and really honored to have you in my life as a friend and
Yeah.
also as my amazing body worker.
Well, thank you. That was really nice to have this conversation with you, and I just can't wait for the next 3 hours of pure bliss. It is something to try. It's good to do something just for ourselves. It's so important, isn't it? Life is so busy, and especially when we have family and children and big work. So it's important to take care of ourselves. So thank you for being here with us and reminding that stress is not something that is natural and we can overcome this stress feeling and feeling calm. Thank you.
Most definitely. We do not have to live with it. It is not the way life is meant to be. And there's so many ways out of it.
Thank you so much for your presence. That was amazing.
Thank you, Lilly. So much love to you.
Bye.
Bye.